such a horrible thing to break up such dynamic, exciting conversation. But it is, we've come to that point where we're going to get started. So I'm going to give you just a few seconds to find your seat. I wasn't sure what to expect on this Halloween day in terms of what people would come dressed in, but you all did pretty well. We all did pretty well. I see a few that have your costumes on. It is my great privilege on behalf of our Norbert team sponsors, our board trustees, the faculty, staff, and students of St. Elmo College to welcome you here, welcome you to the college, and welcome you to the 2017-2018 CEO Breakfast Series. We've been offering this program for 20 years. I find that just to be remarkable. As I welcome you here today, I'm also welcoming myself to my first CEO Breakfast Series. It's so good to join such a tradition of inviting our area CEOs, featuring them. And this opportunity is, as I said, for 20 years, been made possible through many years of generous sponsors. So I'd like to recognize our sponsors. Our presenting sponsor, and some of the representatives are spread throughout, but particularly up in the front here. And so I'd like to have them put their hand up as I recognize their organizations. But the presenting sponsor for our series is WPS Health Insurance and Rise Health Plan. The title sponsor, Myron Construction, Insight Publications, Johnson Bank, and Johnson Insurance. And the sponsor for this session is Investors Community Bank. Here they are, waving their hands. Let's give our sponsors a round of applause for this. At your table, there's a folder. You can take it with you. In there's more detailed information about our sponsor. I encourage you to take a look at that information and support our sponsors in the services company, which she helped grow to $100 million in revenue in less than 5 years. The company was then acquired by AT&T. Earlier in her career, Jill also worked for the Federal Reserve Bank in Atlanta. She earned a BA in political science from the Honors College of Michigan State University and an MBA from, you may have heard of this place, the Harvard Business School. She's been actively engaged in innovation and entrepreneurship at the college level as well, spearheading the development of Fox Connection, the regional collaboration of college entrepreneurship programs which brings the pitch to Northeast Wisconsin College Startup Competition. Would you please give a great, warm, single welcome to Jill Enos.
Good morning, and thank you. I am delighted and honored to be here this morning to speak with you and to share with you some of my experiences, as well as some of the insights that I've gained from working with, being in a unique position, really, situated between startups and entrepreneurs and corporate leaders and innovators. Our region is not unlike other communities in that we all want and need more high-growth companies to start and stay here. The startups that we do have seek to find more capital and they need more guidance. And our corporate players that are here are constantly in need of finding more and better ways to innovate and seek to avoid disruption. I can tell you that from my vantage point, we actually have many very capable entrepreneurial individuals. And they may not fit the stereotype that you often think of. They're not 20-year-olds in hoodies with laptops all that often. We also have incredible talent within our corporate community, and there is available capital to deploy. And really, it's when we ignite these connections that we find the opportunity to advance a new venture. And that's what we've experienced in the last 2 years at the Foundry, and I want to share some of that with you today. So here's what I'll cover this morning. I've got about 20 minutes and 15 slides that I'll share. First, I want to tell you about the Foundry, what it is, how we started, what we do. I'll talk a little bit about how we look for opportunities, and I'll give you some examples of some entrepreneurs we've worked with. I'll talk a bit about the corporate innovation that's happening in our region, some of the internal and external activities of the different individuals and companies here. I've got some great things to share in terms of regional collaboration and inspiration from college activity as well as statewide activity. I'll touch on the importance of risk capital and then wrap up with some future opportunities of what's to come. The new Venture Foundry is Northeast Wisconsin Venture Foundry. It came together because a small group of local business leaders wanted to explore disruptive opportunities, create and support new ventures, and drive economic development in a meaningful way in this community. Al Zizi, many of you may know, had been doing something similar at ZyQuest for more than a decade by solving problems with customers with a software development team. And when he came together with Randall Lawton, Alex Lawton, Paul Schneider, and a couple of others, they really coalesced around this big idea that disruptive solutions to entrenched business problems often have commercial potential that go beyond a single company and that could extend across multiple industries. And the resulting group that developed really was a group of entrepreneurial leaders who had started or had built successful businesses and who really wanted to create a support structure that would help the next generation of entrepreneurs, something that they'd wished they'd had. So what our members do, they provide operational expertise, business model guidance, performance and industry experience and relationships, early stage capital, very importantly, and mentorship. The group that we started with really cover a variety of backgrounds, and you probably know many of the people that are involved today. We have expertise from cellular technologies and IT, manufacturing, supply chain, transportation, pharma, banking, finance, and healthcare. And at any given time, I'm able to draw on any of them as we work together with an entrepreneur to advise, to guide, or even to vet an opportunity that fits squarely with their expertise, where they can draw on an experience, a lesson learned, or an activity that they've done in the past. So as a side note, the name of the Foundry, that term is actually used by many different organizations that are similar to this. There are venture capital, incubator, and accelerators that have used this term. You may have heard the Foundry Group in Boulder, Colorado, the Jumpstart Foundry in Nashville, the Citrus Foundry in Berkeley, and even the Viral Foundry in Indonesia. But the one comment I'd like to make is we're really the legitimate foundry in that we're the only one that has members, I'm certain, that actually are part of a real foundry, the Lawtons, with the C.A. Lawton Foundry. So how do we go about doing this? At the core, we look for big ideas that have the potential to disrupt an industry or market, or that can significantly improve or change the way business is traditionally done. And this can come from someone who deeply understands a problem because they live and work in it as a subject matter expert, or someone who partners with a company and helps them advance and find the next opportunity. We also work with companies to explore and experiment on different projects, and they can take that back in-house, or we offer the opportunity to launch something new in that same realm. So let me share a couple of examples of startups that we've worked with, and that we currently work with today. Many of you may have heard of LaneHub or know Mark Hackle. Mark Hackle actually, kind of a fun fact, was a college roommate of the president here today, which is kind of a fun thing to have President Brees back in the area and to have Mark recently really moving along with what's happening with LaneHub. So Mark spent nearly 20 years in the transportation industry. And he came to us 2 years ago with an idea to build a collaborative network, a platform where shippers could connect and optimize their freight networks together. Today, just in 2 short years, he has 30 customers, and they're using a robust technology platform, and he is now ready to grow, expand his employee base, and move to the next level. He's really moved along and created a fantastic system. So much more to learn, for certain. I mean, he's only 2 years into this, but really made tremendous progress. Mark worked at Schreiber Foods before he left to launch Lane Hub. And Schreiber actually became one of his first customers to help him test and vet and improve upon the system. And that's really what this collaboration is all about, is finding these ways to take risks and work together. Schreiber really benefited from the solution that Mark created, but Mark couldn't effectively create that within the confines of a Schreiber because he needed an independent platform so that other shippers could access and use what he was trying to build. But Schreiber, in the process, offered time and expertise to help him get there, and they've gained a fantastic service that can save them tens of thousands of dollars as a result. Another subject matter expert, April Hansen, has worked in the healthcare industry for many years. She's a nurse, and she's also a consultant to hospitals. She came up with an idea to help frontline healthcare staff change the way they communicate with each other, how they reward great performance, and how they identify needs for training and development. This week, April is actually finalizing two agreements with 2 area hospitals to put her first version application into play with some individual units within their hospital systems. HSHS and Aurora are partnering with her to help her to advance this, and it works for them and a great benefit to improve their systems as well. Again, it's taking risks, but it's measured, and they're able to really create value for both. A founder doesn't have to be a subject matter expert if they have a strong partner that they're working with. One company I've worked with more recently in this category is Arbery Technologies. The founders were providing some basic IT development support for a local tree nursery in Chilton, and in the process learned about the many challenges in the industry. Understanding the dramatic variation in the value of the trees based on the caliper, which is the diameter, really fueled the founders to creatively come up with it's an expandable tag that at any given time, it grows with the tree, and at any given time can measure with a remote RFID what the caliper of that tree is, which translates into a whole variety of things you can do with that data. And the entrepreneurs are now taking this tree nursery from a manual measurements, pen and paper operation to one that is using drone-enabled technology for inventory management. And since then, they've gone to find other nurseries in the Pacific Northwest, much larger, that have really taken an interest in their product. They haven't needed outside capital yet because they've had such an onslaught of interest in what they're trying to build. But it's a really fantastic example of some local entrepreneurs that figured out a problem and a solution by working closely with the company that they were helping to solve that problem. So through the Foundry, we see inspiring entrepreneurs and ideas all the time. And I'm often asked what recommendations I have for someone who's thinking of starting something. And it really comes down to a few suggestions, in my opinion. First, customer development is everything. And even if you are a subject matter expert, get out of the building and go spend time with those target customers, not necessarily approaching them with a, here's my idea, what do you think of it, but really trying to understand a day in the life of what they're talking about, what's keeping them up, and what are they willing to spend money on to improve their business. Second, there are incredible tools today that are available that hadn't been in the past that enable business model concepts and prototypes to be created for very little money, and that combined with online market research gives a tremendous advantage in terms of creating something you can go out and test with a customer at a very early stage with small investment. Third, don't operate in stealth mode while developing a product. One of the big lessons learned in the last 10 to 15 years is that the build it and they will come approach is high risk and very expensive. In fact, most startups start with a great idea that changes 3 or 4 or 5 times before they land on what really is their product market fit. And you can't achieve that if you're not deeply connected to a market that's helping to inform you as you go. Finally, inspire a partner to join you who can meaningfully benefit from your solution. There are so many ways to construct win-win relationships that can reduce risk for both parties. So in addition to entrepreneurs, we also work with corporate partners. Most every organization is trying to improve their competitive advantage and trying to improve their products and services for their customers. But there are meaningful opportunities to build something that either doesn't fit or doesn't have to stay within the four walls of a company. Solutions like dramatically rethinking user experience really can include customers, suppliers, employees, along the lines of what that change is in that user experience can be leveraged across multiple industries and markets and doesn't have to remain as a competitive advantage for a single company or change how they interact with theirs. The opportunities available utilizing machine learning or predictive analytics, very similarly leveraging data, can really translate across multiple markets. So when a company finds an opportunity to really design and create something within, I think it's critical that they think bigger about who else could benefit from this that wouldn't necessarily reduce my competitive advantage, but in fact give me greater opportunities. And in some cases may create a revenue stream, but creating that independent venture also enables a new organization to have focus on either a different or more specific mission. Many of you have likely heard of Steve Blank. He's a thought leader in startup launching and corporate innovation. And I think he really coined it well in his startup definition. A startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. Startups have finite time and resources to find product market fit before they run out of money. And as a result, they trade off certainty for speed, adopting good enough decision making, and iterating and pivoting as they fail, learn, and discover their business model. That's really been Steve Blank's mantra, and I think that is so powerful for thinking about how that affects what corporate innovators are trying to do on a regular basis. Established companies have a clear model to deliver on, so carving out time and mind share to explore other models is by necessity a distraction to their core. Some organizations find that this action can actually be penalized before it can be rewarded. It's a tough line to walk. Organizations like Schreiber Foods, HSHS, and Nicolay Bank all come to mind as companies that I know right now are working with startups to try new things. There are so many ways for larger companies to engage. One of the most important ones, in my opinion, is looking for opportunities to connect with startups, to hear pitches, to meet startups, and to pilot new products and services. Be creative about how you can partner as a customer or supplier. And if you can't create a partnership, consider offering time as a mentor. It has the ability to not only change the opportunity for that startup, but I think you'll be surprised what is learned by the company in the process from giving that time. And then finally, give your employees permission and even incentive to explore some crazy ideas. If it can't be done in-house, then come and talk with us at the Foundry. We'll help you to build a sandbox to create experiments in, and you can take it back in-house or we can launch something new. I mentioned the importance of hearing ideas, including pitches from startups. We regularly host startups from the Generator and G-Beta programs that are in Madison and Milwaukee, and we have them come here to Green Bay or Appleton to present their companies and to get feedback from corporate leaders in the form of ideas, feedback, but potentially even partnerships or investments. If you would like to be involved in this, please see me afterwards or send me a note and an email. I love to expand this forum, and I really think it's a great forum for learning for both the audience and the startups. And it really helps us in this community to help to see more ideas that are coming through from all over the state. We're also really supportive of the other incubators and accelerators that are developing in the region. There are more, as you may have seen, some of the recent announcements, the Titletown Tech program we've been working with as well. And it's really an exciting time. Collaboration is going to be critical for the network density of the community. On the topic of collaboration examples, last year with the help from key leadership in a number of schools in the area, including St. Norbert College. We created the Fox Connection, the collaborative effort of colleges to share information with each other and to advance some of the entrepreneurial activity and programs in the area. Each college created their own campus pitch competition and some of their own individual programming as well as sharing with others. And it culminated in the spring with an event called The Pitch, where each school sent their top teams to compete for prize money and in-kind services to help advance their ventures. This has been fantastic as a first-year pilot because we're again doing it this year and we'll continue to. But we've seen students who were ready to leave as they graduated to go do things say, you know, maybe I can start a company here. Maybe there is an opportunity in Northeast Wisconsin to take these ideas that I have and put them to life. As a business community, we have to support college students and faculty to give the students a reason to consider innovation as a life skill, without a doubt, but also to consider entrepreneurship as a career option and something that they can pursue here. There's been a flurry of exciting activity going on in our region. Most of you likely saw the recent Packers Titletown announcement. Building a technology hub in Green Bay is going to be, it's really going to be an incredible gift and an awesome addition to what we're doing here in terms of attracting attention and resources and additional activity that I think we're all going to see a follow-on effect, including all the other small groups that are kind of rising around it as well, the accelerators and incubators from Oshkosh, Appleton, Green Bay included. This gives a center point that really advances all of us. Other activity, 2 weeks ago, the Launch Wisconsin event put on by the new accelerator Connector brought people from around the state and was a super event to really encourage a lot more connections and discussions. Steve Case, the investor made famous from founding America Online, chose to include Green Bay in his Rise of the Rest tour this year. His team selected 8 startups out of, I think, 85 applicants to present live, and we were at the Foundry thrilled when 2 of the 8 were startups we'd been working with who were able to present, and Lane Hub actually was chosen for the $100,000 investment from Steve Case. Generator, the Madison and Milwaukee-based accelerator, is launching their very first G-Beta cohort here in Northeast Wisconsin this month. Again, a tribute to what we've been seeing in growth and activity around here, and should give all of us excitement. And as I mentioned, our local colleges and universities continue to advance great programs and bring students to a different level of opportunity here. Many of the groups that are emerging in this area are going to be playing in spaces to fill the gaps, and that's good for all of us. It's network density that really will change the landscape, and we're seeing it already happen. So just to speak a bit about capital, startups need capital, and early stage ventures are risky. The rate of failure of startups is what sends many investors to put their money in safer places. But there are ways to participate and reduce risk. First, invest with others and across a portfolio of companies. We know there will be winners and losers. We can't know at the beginning who's going to emerge to win. Invest in what I like to refer to in a model of connected capital. We've employed a model at the Foundry where we invest in categories where we know one of the members and their subject matter expertise can help add value to that individual company. And then invest with corporate relationships, ensuring that a real customer can help define and guide the product or service changes the risk profile significantly. And we've made that a standard in the companies that we support. So to wrap up, we are really proud of what we've built at the Foundry, even more excited about what's ahead and inspired by what's happening in this region. There isn't a predefined cookie-cutter model of what an entrepreneur looks like. In fact, the next high-growth company may very well come from an idea and an employee at St. Norbert College or Johnson Bank or Myron Construction. I firmly believe that, and I think the more that we create a support structure that encourages and supports that, we will see that activity happening increasingly in the area. We have validated that the mentor-based investment model not only increases the opportunities that we see, but it also increases the odds of success for those ventures in this region. And that's why we're expanding. We're right now building a fund to be able to do more, and we're expanding our member investors and mentors so we can reach more opportunities throughout. We all have a vested interest in this room, in this region, in helping to ignite more new ventures across the region.